Watching this video will help you win more singles matches. All right, so we've got UC Irvine versus Stanford. Let's look at the server here first. Let's look at his toss. Let's look at his toss timing. So we can put the ball right about there, right near the top of the head. Put the timer down. We run the timer and see how high his toss is. And he's contacting the ball at 0.8 seconds, right where Taylor Fritz is. Very similar to Sakari, Nadal, Federer. It's a very similar toss height. You don't want your toss to be higher than 0.9 seconds. Then the toss is just getting way too high and it screws up the timing of your serve. Let's zoom in, by the way, and look at his footwork on this pinpoint stance. When you look at the beginning of his serve, his toe is pointing, his front toe is pointing inward at an angle inside the baseline. But then watch as he's bringing his foot up where his toe has now rotated. Now his toe is pointing slightly backward. How did this occur? It's because he's looking like he's trying to foot fault with his heel. If you're the type of player who brings your back foot around, and I even see rec players who foot fault with this back foot coming around, then I want you to focus on foot faulting with the heel of your front foot, where you rotate with the front foot on the ball of your foot, trying to put your heel over the baseline, your front foot heel over the baseline. This allows you to coil like J.J. Wolf, Felix Auger-Aliassime, Ben Shelton, and this basically blocks the back leg's ability to come around, and then your back foot, when it comes up, will stay right behind the front foot. So use that technique for more coil, but to also make sure you're not foot faulting with that back foot. Now, what's really nice about his toss only being at 0.8 is it's going to help him with his leg drive timing along with his racket drop. Have you ever heard of something called an early racket drop? Well, in my experience as a coach for nearly 3 decades, it rarely is a problem with an early racket drop. It's usually a late leg drive. See, if you toss really high, then you can't drive the legs up and the racket starts to drop too early. See, there is a certain relationship you want between your body going up and your racket going down. See how as the body goes up, the racket's going down? That's what you want. To have a great racket drop, it isn't just that you bend your arm and that the racket goes down. You want to drive your body up when the racket is pointing up. So notice he brings his back foot up, and the moment his back foot lands, he explodes up. That's what happens on a pinpoint stance. But so many rec players toss the ball way too high. I actually had a rec player recently who I analyzed his serve. It was the highest toss I had ever seen. His toss timing was 1.4 seconds. 1.4. Now, for context, Giovanni Pericard is 0.65. That's less than half the amount of time. This is how high this rec player's toss was. So he had what was called an early racket drop. But it's just that the toss was so high that the racket got into the trophy pose. The racket was like, hey, let's just keep going. And then the racket dropped before the body ever had to explode up because the ball hadn't come down. So if you're someone who is being told, hey, you got an early racket drop, your racket is leaking down before the body explodes, stop blaming the racket and start blaming the toss. The toss is probably too high. If you toss lower and get your toss timing around 0.8 or even 0.75 like Ben Shelton, what you will find is that you'll be forced to bring that back foot up earlier. And when your back foot lands, you'll be in the trophy position and then you immediately explode up. And that's when the racket goes down and you get an amazing shoulder stretch, supplying so much power from the racket drop and then kind of like a catapult motion up to the ball. It'll be awesome. If you've got an early racket drop, it's probably actually a late leg drive because your toss is too high. One last thing I want to show you is he lands in, actually 2 things I want to show you. He lands inside the court, but watch how he jumps backward, right? When you land inside the court, you are vulnerable to a deep return down the middle, which is really a great place to return in singles. Deep down the middle, especially on strong first serves. You can see the returner is way behind the baseline. So he wants to jump out of no man's land in case the ball comes really deep. But notice he doesn't jump straight back. He jumps back at an angle. Since he is left-handed, he actually jumps slightly to his right to open up more of the court on his forehand. So think about that. If you're going to jump backward, jump at the angle that gives you more forehands or more opportunities to hit forehands. So let's look at the returner now. So what you'll notice, he is way behind the baseline. He is just trying to take away any speed that this guy is hitting by just standing super far back. If you're the type of person who feels like you struggle against strong serves, just stand way back and take it away from him. Sure, are you giving up some angle and the ability for the opponent to beat you out wide or down the tee? Sure, but you gotta, pick your battles, right? And by moving backward, you give yourself more time, and then you can even run down those shots, right, that you think are going to be really tough. You got plenty of time. So take a page out of Medvedev's book and stand really far back against strong serves. Now let's look at his split step timing. When your opponent serves, so we're talking about as the returner, when your opponent serves, they typically jump. So again, we just talked about that. See the jump for the server? You want to synchronize your jump for the split step with the jump of the server. Watch how they're both jumping at the same time. In fact, look at the returner, and peripherally you'll see the server's jump. Look at the returner and watch how they're both jumping at the same time. That's because you, as the returner, you want to be in the air as the opponent makes contact with the ball. And that's because you want your split step to land somewhere between 0.2 and 0.25 seconds after the opponent makes contact with the ball. That synchronizes your brain with your feet hitting the ground and your reaction time. So you'll land and immediately explode. So let's go to the contact, which is right around there. Let's put a timer down and let's see when he lands the split step. Look at that. He just landed the split step, 0.21, obviously in between 0.2 and 0.25. That is the easiest easiest way to time your split step on a return of serve. Just jump when the opponent jumps, be in the air as they contact. You'll notice he floats the ball with a slice. Now, obviously, he's trying to hit this ball deep. He plays for Stanford. He knows that, and he's trying his best, but he's obviously, he's not Pete Sampras and Andre Agassi and Djokovic, so he's not, as hitting the shots exactly the way he wants to. Even those guys don't do it. And you'll notice the server then comes in and attacks. Now, one thing that the server makes a mistake doing here is notice this little skip right there. See that little skip right there? That allows the ball to mature. Notice he does not hit the ball at the peak. The server should be going in and focusing on hitting this ball at the peak. That way he can drive the ball. We are not looking to lift the ball when we get a short ball. We are looking to drive it. And if the ball is lower, then we need to hit it at the peak to give ourselves the best chance. Here's the ball peaking right now. He should be contacting the ball right now. But he is allowing this ball to drop, and you can see that he needs to arc this ball. And because he needs to arc it with topspin, this means that he can't drive it and he cannot hurt the opponent as much as he'd like to. When you get a short ball, especially if the ball is a little lower, you need to not let this ball drop, but you need to get to this ball with urgency and at the peak. And actually, the mistake he makes is that skip right there. As soon as he makes that skip, and he's not taking a crossover step and really like running up to that ball with urgency to get that ball at the peak, that's what allowed this ball to fall. And because he's playing this ball below net level, this guy has no need to guess. What you'll notice is when the ball is played around shoulder level, the opponent will guess. And that's because the ball is going to be crushed. And just like a soccer keeper, like on a penalty kick, where they'll guess, if he waits to see where that ball goes, he's never going to get there. But this guy, in a very smart way, knows that this ball is going to drop just because he can see it happening and unfolding right in front of him. No need to guess. The ball is lifted. The server comes in. You'll notice the server or the guy approaching in the white shirt. You'll notice his split step timing is perfect. You'll notice he's in the air. You want to be in the air as the opponent is contacting the ball. And you want to land, again, around 0.2 to 0.25 seconds after the opponent makes contact. So let's see where he is. There's the contact. And let's put a timer down. And right there, oh man, he's landing a little bit early. See, he's landing a little bit before his brain reacts. So when he lands, he's actually losing the elasticity of the land and explode. His brain has not figured out where the ball is going to go. He's actually going to be slower in his movement going to the ball. That's very interesting. He's actually landing a little bit too soon. Ironically enough, you want to land a little bit later so that you don't have trouble breaking inertia. See, if you land at the exact moment, right? If his feet were to hit the ground at the exact moment that guy hits the ball, his brain still has to wait around 0.2 seconds to figure out where to go, and he becomes flat-footed, and then it's too hard to break inertia and start moving. So you want to really and truly land the split step at the right time, 0.2 seconds after, which is why you want to be in the air as your opponent hits. Make sure that you time your split step to make sure you're getting the most benefit out of it. And then the player in the red, he hits the perfect shot. I am a huge fan of down the line passing shots. The beauty of the down the line passing shot is it forces your opponent to move laterally. Many of your rec opponents, when they come forward, they are not split stepping at all. How do I know this? Because I analyze players every single day all around the world who send me videos of their matches, of their serve, forehand, backhand, doubles, singles. They want me to analyze their play. And guess what? I watch so many rec players day in and day out that I know about 90% of you are not split stepping, which means your opponents are not split stepping. The beauty of the down the line is it requires a very sharp change of direction, a change of direction that cannot happen without a split step. The problem with the cross court pass is your opponent just runs right into it. So when when you try to pass cross court, they run into it because they're not split stepping, ironically, and then they have an easier time volleying the ball. So I would much rather have you hit down the line. Another benefit of down the line passes, you can hit it short, you can hit it medium, you can hit it deep. If you hit a cross court pass, you can only hit it short, because if you hit it deep into the corner, then it actually goes through your opponent. So you have to spin it in a very difficult way into the corner of the service box. So I would recommend, for the easiest chance and time passing your opponent, just hit down the line passes. And for those reasons, you're going to have a lot of success. You'll also notice that the player in red, when he hits the down the line pass, he doesn't just watch it. He immediately moves in at an angle. Watch, he hits it and immediately starts running. And he does that in case the volleyer volleys it over here and he's there to hit it into the open court. Now, we'll get back to the video in just a second, but first, if your level of play is plateaued, you're just not getting better, or you're just not improving at the rate you'd like, and maybe you are taking lessons with a local pro, but it just doesn't seem to be helping, then send me an email, ryan@2minutetennis.net, and we can hop on a 10-minute phone call, and I can talk to you about getting your game analyzed on video. Whether you'd like me to analyze your serve, or your forehand, your backhand, your net game, or maybe your footwork, or even a whole match. Let's say you've got SwingVision, or even if you just record yourself playing matches, you send me the footage, I will analyze your entire game, putting you side by side with the pros, showing you what you're doing correctly and what you need to change to gain confidence and start winning more matches. So send me an email, ryan@2minutetennis.net. You and I can exchange phone numbers, we'll hop on a quick 10-minute call, and we can see if video analysis is right for you. So send me an email, ryan@2minutetennis.net, if you would like me to coach you no matter where you are in the world. Improve your singles play and footwork and strategy. If you do, there's no doubt you're going to gain confidence, win more matches, and play much better tennis. This is Ryan Reedy from 2minutetennis.net. You got this.